When you think about school and life, does it ever feel like you are drowning? Do you sometimes feel like it is impossible to keep up, catch up, or get ahead? Do you feel like too many things are outside of your control? According to the National Alliance for Mental Health, 20% of students 13 to 18 years old deal with some kind of mental illness. This is more common than many people realize. A truly tragic impact of the stress and helplessness is the increase in teen suicides. In 2016, in the United States, 5,723 young adults committed suicide. For every young adult that succeeds, 25 students attempted suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for people between the ages of 15 and 34 in the U.S. Teenagers are more often at risk for a number of reasons. First, the transition from child to adult can be difficult, and it is often hard to figure out society's new norms and expectations. Second, teens often blow confusion and self-doubt out of proportion. What may seem as a crisis today may not be a crisis in the big picture of life. Third, teenagers often don't realize that most problems resolve with time and patience. When you were learning to walk, it took a long time to get it right, but you didn't give up on learning to walk. It was how you gained independence. The same perseverance you had at a year, you still possess now. Learning to persevere through young adulthood will enable you to become an independent adult. Fourth, social isolation, fewer social bonds, and self-doubt can lead to frustrations. Fifth, teens often don't understand everyone goes through hard times and experiences loneliness at times. Learning to cope is part of human development.
So I'm actually a former PSEP student, and I ended up going to Central Michigan University, and within my freshman year I made some good friends at school, but ultimately I realized they weren't that great of friends. I would hang out with them from time to time, but most of the time they would hang out without me, and it was very obvious because I could see it on social media. I would go on Instagram or Snapchat, and it was really obvious. They'd post pictures and videos to almost like exclude me, and at times I think it made me feel alone, just like I didn't have enough friends at school. But ultimately I ended up moving on, and I realized that those weren't the best friends I could ever have, and I have new friends now, and I'm closer with different people. And over time you have to realize everything that you see on social media shouldn't impact the way that you feel and your emotions, and how if you get upset about things, it won't matter next week if you see something on social media, or next month or next year. Especially in the high school and college years, you're growing so much. Within every couple of months there's something new going on in your life. So I was kind of able to overcome that and make sure that social media doesn't affect the way that I feel. Now that I'm older, I can definitely say I use social media less and kind of take what I see on it with a grain of salt. I always don't get super emotional or upset about not being included or not having friends. I don't go to Central anymore. I transferred to a different school, and I'm going to graduate school pretty soon, and everything that happened to me in high school or early college didn't really matter on social media to me now and where I'm at in my life.
It is important to get all of us to adulthood safely. Do you have a friend you are concerned about? Here are some warning signs to look for. Feelings of hopelessness, withdrawing from family and friends, neglecting basic needs, loss of energy, taking more risks, abusing alcohol and drugs, giving away personal items, posting despondent things on social media. We are not the only country where youth struggle. In the past year, Japan's teen suicide rate was the highest it had been in 30 years. Some things stand out as predictors of self-harm. Alcohol and drug use is the first. Heavy users often have low self-control and are more likely to act on impulse. Some students have a triggering event that the student perceives as insurmountable, like fear of punishment, a family crisis, an unplanned pregnancy, poor school performance, denial from an athletic program or college, or loss of relationship. Gender plays a role. Females are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide. Males are more likely to succeed. Families with violence, intense parental conflict, or loss of a parent to divorce or death. None of these factors are insurmountable. Your school, workplace, church, and neighborhood are full of people who face the very same challenges you did as young adults and found support, advice, and a way to cope and overcome the current situation.
Hi, my name is Reagan Thorpe. I graduated from PSEP in 2018, and I'm an alcoholic. My junior year at PSEP, I wasn't here for most of the year. This is when I faced a lot of challenges in my life because I was dealing with alcoholism. I know a lot of people don't think that it's possible for a teenager to be an alcoholic or have addiction, but I'm living proof that that is wrong. And so in October, here at PSEP, I received a couple of MIPs and got arrested by our own Officer Colthurst for a DUI, driving under the influence. And that was pretty scary. I also got alcohol poisoning, and blacking out and waking up in the hospital can be pretty terrifying. So after all this happened, I'm facing expulsion from school, getting this DUI in my record, probation, going to rehab. It was absolutely terrifying. The months to follow all of this, while I'm out of school, now I'm probation and rehab, I felt so utterly isolated. The one thing about me that I like a lot is my empathy and my ambition and drive. And because of my alcoholism, I lost all of that. I completely lost touch with reality and the person I was. I didn't know what tomorrow looked like, and I didn't honestly care. Over the summer of 2017, I finally started taking it seriously. I got a sponsor to sponsor me through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And when I came out of that, I felt stronger than before. And I entered my senior year of high school. I had never, ever joined any clubs at any school I went to. I just felt like a complete social outcast. But I actually found some stuff that really helped me. I joined mentoring and mediation. I was able to help the Journey students, and I found that I really liked doing that. And I joined Link Crew, and I was also an ambassador, so I dealt with all new kids coming in grades 9 to 12. And I kind of found more of a community that I could relate to. So I can say with certainty that my final year at PSEP was one that was filled with happiness, and I was finally starting to look forward to the future. One thing that really kept me going was having my eye on the future. I could see where I wanted to be in 10, 20 years, even if that meant not drinking, because I wasn't scared of that anymore. I finally had a grip and was deciding the person that I wanted to be, and I wasn't going to let go of that anymore. I finally was able to be not only a good person to the people around me, but a good person to myself. And that's something that I don't think I was ever able to do before. And it's still a learning experience. I'm still growing. I have to learn that I can't help others if I don't help myself. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned about me and about other people and other things that I've seen around me, is that you can't help anybody else before you help yourself, because you're just gonna make yourself sicker, especially when you're using, in my case. Last year, I didn't think I was gonna graduate high school, and I didn't think I was gonna get into college because of how bad my GPA was. This year, I am a criminal justice major at Wayne State. I just finished my first semester of college with a 4.0. That is something I've never achieved before, and it absolutely makes me absolutely ecstatic. It's a wonderful feeling. It was really hard getting there, but things that I have today are a good support system, people I can feel vulnerable enough to open up to and to show my emotions to. And it's really important to have people like that in your life that you can go and say, I need help, because it's something that I didn't do before. Next semester, I got accepted into a program called Inside Out, where I get to take a class with the prisoners in one of the prisons in Michigan. I believe it's the one in Hamtramck. But the point is, I'm doing today what I always wanted to do, and being in the criminal justice system made me find a love for it, which is slightly twisted, but that's kind of what happened for me. I plan on becoming a juvenile defense attorney so that I can help give kids a second chance that I was given.
I'm Eddie Ida, class of 2015, graduated from Canton High School, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story and kind of how I got where I am today. But let's back up to sophomore year of high school. I remember it was kind of the winter time, and my mom had cancer at the time and in and out of the hospital. And I remember she went in the hospital for her last time kind of near the beginning of December. But as a young 15-year-old at the time, I didn't really understand what was going on. Things weren't really told to me, and so I wasn't fully in the loop of what was happening until I remember being outside of that hospital room and seeing a lawyer walk in. Unfortunately, at the age of 15, I was at least, she passed away December 21st, 2012. Funeral was on the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. So as you can imagine, that's a pretty rough thing to happen, and especially for me being 15 years old, I couldn't even fathom what was going on. Interesting enough, I was just kind of at a point in my life where I had no idea what to do next. I wasn't pursuing anything, I wasn't doing anything bad, I guess, but man, that was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And so progressing forward as I got older, I just had to figure out what to do. And I remember standing there at that hospital room and just kind of figuring out, this is after she passed, and just kind of figuring out what path to go down. Now, I mean, I always thought there was two ways to go. I mean, you can go the good path or the bad path. And at that time, you lose guidance for a really important key part in your life, your mother, who really helps you through life. And I didn't realize any of that until now. It's very interesting. So going through life, kind of finishing high school, I started to find more purpose in what I am and what I do. And it really, for me, is just I found faith and kind of worked from there. That gave me the foundation from where I am today. And it really kind of woke me up, in a sense. So going through that whole process, I mean, it was just a lot of crying, a lot of misery. And even today, I mean, I still feel the hurt of that. You never know what losing your mother is like until you lose your mother. There's no way to describe it, but you lose a very instrumental piece in your life. But I kept my head high and just kept working and working and working. Some say I might work too much, but you know, it's just a way, I guess it's one of those coping methods. So moving on through high school, I eventually got into technology, which I've always had an interest in, and really worked at it and learned every bit and piece of it. Ended up getting a job while I was in high school doing IT work, and from there progressed into my future. I started an IT company. The IT company definitely grew to a size I didn't expect. I started a website company and a couple other e-commerce stores, along with working at a place that I work at now today, and just volunteering in my community today. I didn't let any event in the past hinder what today looks like for me, because I really realized that although events happen in my life and they're not great, if I sit around and I let them eat at me, I'm not going to have or fulfill a great purpose in life. But if I take what has happened and I utilize that to my advantage, and what I mean by that is my mom passing away was my drive to do better and maybe make her proud or anything like that. If I take that to my advantage, I can make something of myself that's much bigger than I could have ever done just by sitting around. I mean, I'm 21 years old now, having a few different companies, working for a place. I bought a house at 20 years old, currently engaged, on my way to get married, and a lot happens when that happens at a young age, because you have to grow up faster. But you either grow up or you stay the same, and that wasn't an option for me. So that's where I'm at.
Suicide is an alternative, an attempt to escape intense emotional pain from what seems now like an insurmountable problem. What happens now in 4 years of high school is such a small part of your whole life. Think of any year of high school as a penny, compared to $1 that is your life. How many people will stop and pick up a penny? No one does. Why?
Do you pick up pennies? Why or why not?
I don't pick up pennies because when I look at it, I would rather have $1 or $20 than pick up a small penny that doesn't have as much worth as that.
No, I don't pick up pennies because they're worthless.
I don't pick them up because they're not worth anything.
I don't pick up pennies because it's not worth it.
I don't pick up pennies because I gotta make it to my next class.
No one does because when it comes to money, a penny is pretty insignificant. In the same way, whatever happens today, this week, this year, in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, probably won't matter. When you look at what is happening in your life, something called crisis thinking impairs your ability to problem solve.
I'm so grounded.
Young adults don't have the life experiences and brain development to put crisis in perspective. Think back to you as a child again. How would you respond if you dropped your ice cream cone? You probably cried. Now, you know it is annoying, but you also know that there is more ice cream in the world and you can get another treat. As teens, our problems may seem larger, but we also have to know that they too can be solved with help and support. Talking through the issue can reduce the emotional stress of a crisis. A suicidal person is often conflicted. Part of them wants to die, and part of them wants to live. Someone has to have the courage to talk to the person and be willing to address the issues that the person perceives as having no solution. You can be the person to talk to a friend. You can be the person to let a trusted adult like a counselor, teacher, or relative know that someone you care about is struggling. You can contact OK to Say, or you can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. Suicide has an irrational component. People who are considering suicide often don't think about the consequences their suicide will have on others. When a person commits suicide, 11 people have devastating impacts on their lives. 25 have a major life disruption. 53 have a short-term disruption. And 115 are exposed. Suicide is a form of communication. For people under extreme emotional stress, normal communication skills have usually broken down. The suicide attempt may be a way of sending a message, and you need to ask the question, who did the person want to send a message to, and what did you want your message to be? Let's talk to some people who had their life-changing experiences, but didn't let that define or limit who they become.
My name is Anthony Andrus. I am a former PSEP student. I graduated from Plymouth in 2015, and I was faced with a lot of problems throughout my high school career. I mean, as many students do, I dealt with my own anxieties and pressures as a student throughout my whole career, but come my senior year of high school, I went through probably the most rough part of my life. My father passed away due to suicide, and at the time it was devastating, and I had to continue my educational career going into college. I really didn't know what path I wanted to take, if I was going to go to community college. I didn't really plan on university, but what I learned is that that moment and that thing that happened to me, it doesn't define who I am. I just use it as an opportunity to keep growing. I continue to do as well as I can in class and find things that make me happy, as well as keep caring for all those around me. And I think one of the most important things is that no matter what you're dealing with and the people around you, you just have to realize that you're not alone. When you are dealing with things that are tough, you have to reach out. Everyone has someone that cares for them, and someone who would be willing to care for them if they just reach out. Well, this year I'll be finishing my first bachelor's degree in communications from Michigan State, and I plan to stay there for another year and get a second bachelor's degree in English, and from there a master's. And I plan to teach English, as well as hopefully once I'm established somewhere, expand upon that, use my past video knowledge and also my communications degree to pursue something I love doing and help students out.
My name's Jayla, and I'm a Plymouth sophomore. When I was in 5th grade, my mom passed away due to overdrinking. At first I was very angry with her because I felt I wasn't important enough for her to stop drinking. And then at a time I felt mad at myself for being mad at her because she had an addiction and that's not something she chose. But after a while, you start to think that this isn't something that she would have wanted. She wouldn't have wanted me blaming myself, blaming her, being upset with life, not wanting to do anything, not talking to anyone. And I also realized that the people I loved were worried about me all the time. And one big thing that got me through everything is if you can't do it for yourself, you need to do it for those you love and those you care about and who care about you. So if you're struggling with something in life, try to think about who cares about you and who wants to see you doing good.
Mental health is important because it helps you cope with the stresses of life, be physically healthy, have good relationships, make meaningful contributions to your community, work productively, realize your full potential. Things you can do to increase the quality of your mental health include staying positive, being physically active, connecting with others, developing a sense of meaning and purpose in life, getting enough sleep, developing coping skills, meditating, getting professional help if you need it. The following resources can help you or a friend. Think about movies you've watched,
maybe I just run across the great state of Alabama.
Movies you may have loved. Many times the protagonist has to overcome great challenges to finally succeed.
I volunteer as tribute.
Real life is no different. This is your movie. These are your challenges. Be sure to stay until the final credits roll.